Feud this morning at 8 on Fox 14.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now it's 7. Many of us may have been able to stay home yesterday, but that wasn't the case for, say, semi-drivers. We're going to hear about their experiences driving in those less than ideal conditions.
Also, yesterday's slick roads created a bit of a stir when a fire truck lost control.
And thankfully, we're not dealing with icy conditions across the area this morning, but we are dealing with some dense fog out there. Take a look at that forecast. Get you out the door coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Amber Jenkins.
And I'm Chris Warner. It is 7 o'clock or just slightly after on this Tuesday morning across the area. And the good news is we don't have to contend with ice, which is why the entire KOAM Morning News and the KOAM News at noon yesterday, actually, too, was brought to you by my living room and the incredible production team that we have here that managed to pull that off at the last minute. It takes a lot to make those kinds of changes. So just those in the back, seriously, you did a fantastic job. And, of course, we had to deal with that. We're dealing with fog this morning. We'll talk about that in a moment. But that freezing rain did cause some other issues out there.
Yeah, yesterday freezing rain just about touched everywhere on the 4 states, and I actually talked to some truckers out there at the truck stop in 44 Joplin Petro. It was on I-44, but we'll see what they have to say. Driving on icy roads with low visibility can be difficult for anyone, especially if you're driving a 1,000+ pound truck like truckers at Joplin 44 Petro.
Ice is always a big no-go. Ice is always a big, and then getting in front of an 80,000 pound truck like what we drive here, that's not really a good thing to do.
Right.
Too dangerous out here. I've been out here 40 years, and it's too dangerous.
You see a lot of the country, and you meet a lot of cool people. It's a very nice industry, but then also you got the pros and cons. You know, driving with aggressive drivers. Even citizens and other aggressive truck drivers.
Whether you're a new trucker or have decades of experience, the community is eager to help you wait out the weather or figure out what's next.
No, we've been to Missouri before. This is like our 3rd time, but this is as far as we've ever been before, so we're trying to figure out if we're going to leave or not.
There you go.
And if you're not sure, ask somebody that's always out there willing to give you a hand. But don't take it upon yourself and think you know it all, 'cause I've been out there so long and I still don't know it all.
One thing truckers remind each other when the roads are dangerous, you can replace the freight, but not your life.
The main thing is keep your following distance, safe speed. Snowing, I don't like to chain up, so I shut it down to be safe. You know, it's more my life compared to the freight.
One thing is give yourself plenty of time in between loads, and just think about your family. You know, think about your family, and that's always the main key to, you know.
If the load's in a hurry to go, find somebody else or don't pull it, because it's not worth your life or anybody else's life.
And for drivers, be cautious around trucks because they're carrying the goods you need.
When you're driving out there, I know you got these expensive cars and stuff like that. These can be considered as truck drivers, because without us, you won't be going to Walmart or any other retail location to buy the products that we do have. So respect the truck drivers, please.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News. Other drivers can also help truckers stay safe by avoiding their blind spots, allowing extra room for trucks when they turn, and remembering they may need some extra space to stop.
Yeah, you've absolutely got to watch out for the truck drivers. Mm-hmm. Even when the roads are fine, you've got to watch out. Yes. We had that one crash on I-44 just a couple, 3 weeks ago where that car merged just straight across out of the merging lane, through the driving lane, into the passing lane, right in front of a truck. And you got to watch out for those guys. They can't stop. Yes. They can't stop and they can't always see you, so be careful out there. And you want to be careful out there again this morning as we're continuing to deal with some patchy fog across the area. Our camera in the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin, the fog has kind of eased up a bit, but that's also because that southerly breeze has picked up just a bit. But when it starts to calm down again, some of that fog gets pushed out of here is very likely going to work back in, so we're not quite done with it yet. MoDOT cameras around the metro area, again, the fog has cleared up a little in Joplin, but it will return, and regardless, roads are still wet. Thankfully, They are not icy this morning, but they're still wet, and that still does increase your stopping distance. So if you are driving into that fog, make sure that you give yourself plenty of time to stop and use your low beams, not your high beams. Skywatch Storm Tracker, clouds. Detectable precipitation off to our north, but we are getting some patchy drizzle out there as well. Fog tracker still showing some of the densest fog right now, right along and to the west of the I-49 corridor, but all of us with dense fog advisories out there through noon for Missouri and Kansas and through 10 a.m. for Oklahoma and Arkansas. 36 in Joplin, not as much of a breeze in Pittsburgh. 35, and you can see on the KDOT camera there, still very dense fog. We're going to be cloudy with maybe some patchy drizzle here and there, warmer temperatures into the mid-40s with rain returning tonight. We'll talk more about that full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Amber?
Thanks, Chris. The U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to take up the appeal of a death row inmate in Oklahoma. Last May, the court halted Richard Gossup's execution while legal challenges played out. Gossip was convicted and sentenced to death for the 1997 murder of his boss, Barry Van Treese. In court papers, the state attorney general says the state supports vindicating Gossup's conviction due to prosecutorial misconduct at his trial. Gossip has long insisted that he is innocent. Well, now let's take a look at what some Missourians witnessed yesterday. Well, that was an east central town of Imperial, Missouri yesterday morning. That's 56,000 pounds of fire truck and equipment from the Rock Community Fire Protection District spinning through a neighborhood and into a car. But fortunately, no one was hurt. Miami, Oklahoma gets Main Street ready for some exciting downtown events and projects. The city plans to tap into the history of downtown area to draw visitors and generate some money. As a part of the program, Miami Main Street works to acquire and assist with various funding sources for events and enterprises, including sponsorships, partnerships, and grants. The city of Miami started the Miami Main Street program in 2023. Up next, Pittsburgh Polar is just around the corner, and we'll hear from Olivia and Officer Christopher and how you can help. And later, a boy in Georgia has his wish granted with a rare snow day. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Pittsburgh Police and Special Olympics of Kansas are teaming up this February for a very cold and wet fundraiser. Ms. Ryan and the Special Olympics and Christopher Moore from Pittsburgh PD are with us this morning to share how you can donate and participate. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell me more about this plunge.
So it's our annual Polar Plunge to benefit Special Olympics, February 10th at the Crimson Villas in Pittsburgh. It's going on our 17th year, I believe. And we jump in the freezing cold water to raise money for Special Olympics.
Is it just anyone can jump in, or is it like specific people jumping in?
Yeah, you can sign up individually, or you can sign up as a team to plunge.
How do you donate, or?
So there's a website on soks.org or plungeks.org, and then you can sign up a team. You can sign up as an individual, or you can go on and find somebody who's already registered and donate to them. Each plunger has to raise a minimum of $100. Each individual person has to raise a minimum of $100 to be able to plunge. You get a shirt that says you did the event that day. So our goal is over 100 plungers, and right now we're sitting. I think we're sitting. I checked it. We're at like 89 plungers and 20 teams. We're sitting at right now. And usually, in the next couple of weeks, we'll have people that finally decide, hey, maybe we should do this, and so they sign up or they do it. But we have everybody from my police department, Pittsburgh PD, we have Crawford County Sheriff's Department, Allen County Sheriff's Department, Cherokee County Sheriff's Department, Pittsburgh Fire, Frontenac Fire, Galena Fire. We have a bunch of school organizations from Pittsburgh High School, Girard High School, National Honor Society. We have some private, just some people that made some teams, and then we have some of our New Hope Services, Mosaic, all of those sign up. So we have a bunch of different teams and a bunch of different people, and then we usually have just people that show up that day and decide they write a check for $100 and decide to jump in the water.
That's pretty cool. And this is a long-standing tradition in the area?
Yes, so like I said, this is like our 17th year we've done it in Southeast Kansas. There's plunges all over the state put on by the Law Enforcement Torch Run. And so we do one in Southeast Kansas, so this encompasses all of Southeast Kansas.
Nice. And from my understanding, you said Southeast Kansas is growing, especially with Special Olympics?
Yeah. So we have added 4 new events this last year in Southeast Kansas. So with events comes more participants, more mouths to feed, more medals, more volunteers. So we really are pushing this year to get to hit our goal to help those events out for our athletes.
Nice, but it's always wonderful to see it's growing and just see more support in the community. Just to recap with everyone what it is and where can they attend it?
So it'll be Saturday, February 10th. We'll start at noon. Registration will be open at about 9 o'clock that morning. And you can come in, and then we'll start at 11:30 with a costume contest, because we always have a costume contest. And then we do start plunging at noon. And then, believe it or not, with that many people, 100 plungers plus, we'll be done by 12:30 because people get in the water and get out of the water really fast. But the U.S. National Guard sets up some really nice tents for us, and then High Flow Equipment in Pittsburgh donates some super big heaters that puts the tents at like 100 degrees, so they get out of the cold water and are able to warm right up.
Nice. Well, that sounds super exciting, and thanks for coming onto the show. Yeah. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Casino is giving you more in 2024. More excitement with new
title against Jared Goff and the Lions. The NFC Championship, Sunday at 6 Eastern on Fox.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Coming up on 7:16 on this Tuesday morning. We're taking a look at our camera on the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin. Still have fog out there across the area. It has cleared a little bit in downtown, but once this wind calms back down a bit, dense fog very likely going to start to build back in. MoDOT cameras around the area still showing some of that patchy fog in the Joplin side. The other thing to keep in mind is while the roads aren't icy, they're still wet, and that still increases your stopping distance. So, for example, here, the KDOT camera south of Pittsburgh, dense fog still an issue out there, so you need to slow down, give yourself plenty of distance between you and the car in front of you, and make sure you use your low beams, not your high beams. Fog tracker still showing the densest fog at this point, really still along and to the west of the I-49 corridor, where we've got a little bit of a breeze building in on the eastern areas. However, if that breeze dies down, the fog will return, and now all of our counties under a dense fog advisory for today. Now for Missouri and Kansas, it runs until noon, and for Oklahoma and Arkansas, runs until 10 o'clock this morning. The Skywatch Storm Tracker picking up a little shower here or there, say out by Chautauqua County. Most of us technically dry, but we're getting drizzle out there, and of course that's not going to show up, but we are also cloudy. In Joplin right now, it is 36 degrees. It feels like 36. Humidity is at 100% because our dew point and temperature are the same. And anytime your dew point and temperature are the same, your humidity is 100%. Winds are calm, and so as they calm back down with 100% humidity, that's why that dense fog is very likely to return. Out to the west, still a little cooler, but getting better, getting closer to the mid-30s out there. And as you head a little further southeast, almost right along into the south of the I-44 corridor, a little warmer as we're going into the upper 30s. Now through today, could see some patchy drizzle, maybe an isolated shower or two. Most of us will remain relatively dry. It won't be until later this evening that we're going to see increasing shower chances across the area. As we've discussed, the future tracks showing what looks like maybe some potential for sleet, but in all honesty, I think temperatures are going to be warm enough that anything we see should just be straight liquid, no wintry precipitation. And if by any means we did see a brief period of sleet, it'd be brief for starters, and second, it wouldn't really stick to anything out there, as we're just going to be a little too warm for that. We go into our Wednesday, the showers clear out in the morning, and then by late evening, we'll see them return once again across the area. We're going to have the fog to contend with through the morning and cloudy skies. We're talking about low 40s by late morning, heading into the afternoon at or even a bit above average out there as we go right around the mid 40s, cloudy skies, and again, isolated shower, patchy drizzle possible out there. Heading into this evening, temperatures initially kind of hovering into the low 40s. They'll eventually fall back into the mid to upper 30s. So that's again why we're not too worried about any wintry precipitation with the rain, just because it should be above freezing as we head through the overnight hours. No wintry precipitation down the road either as we stay relatively warm. We're talking low 50s through Friday. Rain chances will return in the second half of our Wednesday. They'll continue with us into Saturday. We do cool down just a bit into the weekend, but then the sunshine will return by Monday. Temperatures back around 50. That's a check your forecast. We're back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Welcome to Miss Daisy's, where style meets comfort and style to your space. Come shop with us at Miss Daisy's Home and Decor and give your home the makeover it deserves.
Well, Georgia Boy's dreams have come true, and his community made it happen and said, let it snow.
Simone Sublet has more in the story that comes straight from the heart.
Snow in Crawford County? This was Dakota Cersei's wish, and the community made it come true. Even though this snow is cold, Dakota's known to warm the hearts of many.
I got the phone call yesterday to say, hey, we got Dakota what he wished for.
Dakota Cersei is a second grader at Crawford County Primary School, undergoing an inoperable brain tumor. He started experiencing seizures last year, and during the summer, they increased. In September, they discovered Dakota had a very rare brithalamic brain tumor. Nicole Hart Boykins is Dakota's grandmother and said throughout all of his tests and operations, she just wanted him to experience some normalcy.
So many people kind of heard Dakota's story, sought to do whatever they could to offer him a lot of joy and hope, encouragement, and he's been so strong.
And after achieving his dreams of throwing snowballs with his dad, Dakota said he had a fun time. How did it make you feel?
Great. I like the snow, throw snowballs.
Deacon Clayton Jones dressed as Santa Claus and came to grant Dakota his wish to see and play in the snow. He built the snow machine himself and said making children like Dakota smile, especially while going through a tough time, brings joy to his heart.
Every kid deserves some joy in their life, and he's going through a lot with his illness, and just putting a little joy in his life is the thing we need to do.
Dakota's family says he still has a way to go, but he's been strong throughout the process, and his story has already inspired others throughout the community.
Just to be around him offers us a lot in return because he is infectious. His joy, his laughter, he loves to entertain us through dance and song, and he's just a joy, period.
Dakota also had dreams to become an honorary firefighter and a WWE wrestler, and he was officially sworn in by Chief Randall Pate. He'll be going in for more tests and operations within the next few months.
It's certainly excellent the whole community able to come together and make his dreams come true.
Well, coming up, our own Elise Noe shares some information to keep in mind if you find yourself in an accident during winter weather.
And we've been dealing with some fog across the area. We're going to talk more about that and for our rain chances as we go through this week when we come back.
You're watching the 4 States Most Watched News.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:27 a.m. and I'm Amber Jenkins. The Missouri Department of Labor and Industrial Relations dealt with some delays contacting residents about unemployment insurance benefits. Because of the icy roads yesterday morning, it was difficult for employees to get into the office, and in turn, that meant calls regarding benefits were delayed, causing the department to issue a statement asking for patience on what is usually the busiest day of the week for those calls. The Department of Agriculture plans to invest more than $2 million in renewable energy projects in Kansas. Rural Development Kansas plans to use the funds to lower energy bills, boost energy production, and create jobs. In our area, almost $80,000 will head to Girard for 2 wind turbines. The turbines should generate more than 70,000 kilowatt hours. That would be enough for 100% of the energy for Vets Brothers Incorporated of Girard and to power more than 6 homes. A Joplin church invited members of the public to help them plan this year's March for Jesus. March for Jesus is a national worship celebration bringing together Christians in dozens of communities. The Glorious Church Training Center yesterday held a brainstorm session where residents could help decide event details and logistics, as well as volunteer for the march.
You know, as far as the event's concerned, we want to show a unity to the body of Christ. We want to show people that Jesus loves everybody, that Jesus is not a respecter of persons or races. You know, Jesus loves us all. And one of the reasons why we do this each year is we want the world and also Joplin, Missouri and the surrounding region to know that we're one church, one body. According to John chapter 17, the Bible says, let them be one as we are one. And so our heart is to bring the body of Christ together to be one.
The March for Jesus is scheduled for Saturday, May 18th at 9 a.m. The Israel Defense Force says 21 of its soldiers were killed in Gaza Strip Monday. The IDF says it's the deadliest attack on its troops since the war against Hamas began. IDF soldiers were preparing explosives to destroy 2 buildings when Hamas militant fired a rocket-propelled grenade at a nearby tank. The IDF says the explosion caused 2 buildings to collapse on the soldiers who were inside or near the buildings. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has projected a proposal from Hamas to end the war in Gaza.
And we've got ourselves foggy conditions to contend with out there. Fog tracker still showing some of the densest fog still along and west of I-49 out there, where we've had a bit of a breeze pick up, helping to reduce some of the fog coverage in the eastern half of our viewing area. But once that wind settles back down, that dense fog very likely to return the entire region. Dense fog advisories, Missouri, Kansas, they run until noon. Oklahoma, Arkansas, they run until 10 a.m. Right now, it is sitting at 36 in Joplin. If you look, the fog is starting to thicken back up in Joplin, and still dense fog to contend with south of Pittsburgh there and into the Pittsburgh area, sitting at 35. As we go through today, the fog will eventually burn off, and then we'll go cloudy, maybe some patchy drizzle, mid-40s for our highs, and then we'll see rain chances return as we head into the evening hours. We'll have another complete look at your forecast here in just a few more minutes. Amber?
And those treacherous road conditions can lead to collisions in the area. Knowing what to do if you find yourself needing your car fixed is crucial. KOAM's Elise Noe has the details.
Ice and winter weather in the area impacted roadways on Monday morning. It's always important to remember to drive safely.
But what happens when you hit a patch of ice and run into another vehicle, or in this case, a stop sign, and you're needing to put your vehicle back together?
Craft Insurance in Joplin says if you find yourself in a situation where your car is damaged, you'll want to make sure to document as much of the accident as you can while you're at the scene.
Take pictures before you move the cars and make sure that you're getting information on any of or from any of the witnesses that are there, as well as the other party. You can get their name, their address, their telephone number. A lot of times we forget to do those types of things, along with the insurance company that they're insured with and their policy number.
They also suggest assessing damage before making an insurance claim to avoid skyrocketing insurance rates. Kraft says it might be easier to pay out of pocket.
Let's make educated decisions. So you want to make sure that you know what the damage is. If it's just your car and only your car, it may not be worth turning it in. It may be worth you just paying for the damage.
After assessing whether to file a claim through your insurance company, the process continues. In Joplin, most body shops have waiting lists ranging from a couple of weeks to a whole month.
All shops like ours have a schedule that's scheduled out several weeks all the time. We're scheduled out weeks in advance all year long, and most shops are. Things like this, they impact us because we have to push those out a little further, and customers are not prepared for that.
And it's never a bad idea to have a plan in case you find yourself in a collision.
Irregardless of weather, but most people who have full coverage insurance assume they have rental coverage, and they usually don't. And you usually don't figure that out till you've had a wreck. And then you're looking for an alternative vehicle, and you may not have coverage for that. So.
In Joplin, Elise Noe, KOAM News.
Craft Insurance says to try and contact your insurance agent as soon as possible when you're in a wreck and not to wait any longer than a week to make a claim. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOM Morning News. Climate change is having an impact on farmers of all types, including crawdads. More details on that in Consumer Watch.
Kansas Crossing Casino brings you
Resort.
Welcome back to the KOM Morning News. Charlene Patton, our good friend from the Kansas Soybean Commission down from Topeka, didn't make it last week because the weather wasn't so great. Weather's not so great today, but at least it's a little better to drive in out there. So thanks.
Don't have the ice.
No,
really.
no, we don't. It is a little bit safer. So thanks for coming down. You've got something else amazing for us.
Well,
though.
I thought we've got this theme of family night, and whether you are staying home because of the weather for
Right.
have a school day, or whether you got a game for the holidays and you're watching a movie with the family, playing cards or putting a puzzle together, we've got some great snacks that go along with that.
Snacks are always great.
The first one we're going to do is a cheesy popcorn.
Okay.
And I love this, and it's one, again, that the kids can help you do. But I've got 10 cups of popcorn in here, and I'm going to let you mix this together. This is margarine, one of our soy ingredients.
Okay.
We have some smoked paprika and a little bit of salt. I'm going to put this in here for you, and you're going to mix it with that little whisk.
Oh, that's cute. I like that.
And then to this popcorn, I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of cheddar cheese, and you can use, sorry about that.
I tell you,
Clear my
the
throat.
weather here, it's been rough the last few weeks.
You can use any kind of cheese that you like. That's one of the great things about baking and cooking yourself is you can modify the recipe.
Yeah.
So I put cheddar cheese in there, and then I cooked 2 strips of bacon until they were crispy. And when I did that and cut it and put it in my skillet, I just used my kitchen shears and cut it into about 1/4 of an inch slices. And then you don't have to worry about crumbling it, but look at that good bacon in there.
That looks amazing.
Now you're going to pour that in.
Okay.
And that will go all over our popcorn, and we're going to coat it. Oh, good job. Look at you. Yeah. And if, I don't know, do you like heat? You could add just a little bit of hot sauce to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. When I was younger, I could do hot stuff all the time. These days, it doesn't set as well with me, but...
So we're just going to coat that, but then this is not a microwave bowl, but if you had this in a glass bowl or put it into a Ziploc bag for a few minutes, I like to put it into the microwave just for maybe about 10 seconds.
Okay.
That will melt that cheese, the bacon will get warm.
Okay, yeah.
And look what you have here. I brought you one to sample,
Okay.
but here we have the finished product. And boy, it is just delicious
It
for a
looks
movie
amazing.
snack. If you like bacon, you could add that extra bacon. And I might add that most of the soybeans in Kansas are used to feed livestock. So we have several of our ingredients in here that are soy related.
Okay, we certainly do. All right, well, this is amazing. And of course, Charlene, if they want this recipe or any others, what do they need to do?
Go to our website at kansassoybeans.org or call our 800 number 877-KS Soybean, and we will mail you all the recipes for January.
All right, and of course, you can find this on our website as well, KOAMnewsnow.com. I'm going to take this over to the Weather Center and finish this, and then we'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Thank you, Four States, for voting for Aaron Sachs and Associates.
Life. The floor is all new after an all-new celebrity Name That Tune tonight on Fox.
I'm going to tell you right now, that cheesy bacon popcorn is amazing. An excellent snack idea for a day like today, because even though roads are improving, if you look at the bottom of your screen, there are still some closures today. So if you are at home, it's something you should probably try and make. I'm going to try and make it at any point you have an opportunity to. Take a look outside. Our camera on top of the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. We've got the fog still out there. It has improved a bit in Joplin, but it may thicken back up over the next hour or so, depending on if the wind calms down just enough. But as you see on MoDOT cameras around the area, the roadways are also still wet. Now, they're not icy anymore, but they're still wet. They're still slick. And with the dense fog in some locations, say, example, here in Kansas, this is KDOT camera south of Pittsburgh on 69, you still need to slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going, give yourself distance between yourself and the car ahead of you. And, of course, use your low beams, not your high beams. Doesn't help you, doesn't help the other drivers out there at all. Pittsburgh, Miami, Gross, almost right along the 69 corridor, all three reporting zero visibility out there. Densest fog still again along into the west, excuse me, of I-49, but it's starting to filter back in as the winds calm down. We had them pick up briefly in some of our eastern counties, but as they come back down, that fog will filter back in. Dense fog advisories for all of us. Kansas, Missouri until noon. Oklahoma and Arkansas, okay, don't eat popcorn before you go on the air, until 10 a.m. across the area. Skywatch Storm Tracker, a few light showers showing up out in Chautauqua County. Otherwise, just cloudy and drizzling. There we go. Okay, I apologize. That popcorn, though, was really good. And we look in Joplin right now, 38 degrees. Feels like 34 because, again, we had that wind pick up a bit. Northeast breeze at about 5, but that fog will start building back in as the wind calms back down. Out to the west, still a little cooler. We're talking low to mid-30s out there. And as you head south and east, almost right along into the south of the I-44 corridor, going a little warmer, mid-upper 30s out there. Today, again, some patchy drizzle, maybe an isolated shower or two, otherwise just cloudy and warmer. And then we'll start to see rain chances increase as we go through the evening and into the overnight hours. Again, the future track trying to show the possibility of maybe some sleet out there. If we saw any, it's not going to stick to much and it's not going to add up to much by any means, but I think it's going to be warm enough that everything we see will just be straight rain, and that'll continue into early tomorrow morning. So for the rest of this morning, foggy conditions, low 40s by late morning, cloudy, maybe some patchy drizzle out there into the afternoon, temperatures into the mid 40s across the area, and again, a little cooler to the west, but still, you're going to be getting upper 30s, low 40s out there. We head into tonight, rain returns through the evening, temperatures gradually falling through the 40s, and eventually into the mid to upper 30s. So that's again why we're not too terribly worried about any wintry precipitation, as we should remain above freezing out there into the mid-30s. As we go down the road, we'll have fog again for our Wednesday morning, cloudy, showers later in the day, rain chances continuing into Saturday, but take a look at Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, temperatures into the low 50s out there, and that keeps our overnight lows a little bit on the mild side as well. We cool down a bit heading into the weekend, and as we head into next week, the sunshine returns, and temperatures not doing too bad, a little above average out there in the upper 40s and low 50s. That's a quick check of your forecast. We're going to send it over now to Amber with Consumer Watch.
In Consumer Watch today, Apple is adding new security measures to its devices in the latest software update. The companies say iOS 17.3 will require users to scan their face or fingerprint when accessing private information like saved passwords or applying for an Apple Card. The company is also adding a wait period while updating the Apple ID password or iPhone passcode. Users will need to use one of the biometric scans before and after an hour wait to update the passwords. The new features are meant to prevent thieves from gaining access to a phone. A grim outlook for crawdads fans. Experts say last summer's drought in Louisiana is impacting the crawdads' supply. Fallon Brown spoke to a crawdads expert about the dry weather's effects and industry future.
They're called mud bugs because, well, they live in the mud, burrowing underground during the summer months, emerging during the fall when rain floods the waterways. That didn't happen last year.
During the summer, it was so hot and dry that the ground cracked and the water that was down in those burrows dried up and the crawfish died.
The carryover crawfish that reproduce during the off-season are what crawfishermen should be catching now. But they are small and suffering from the cold.
So even those few crawfish that we have are growing very slowly. They won't be in the traps big enough to catch in a trap until probably the end of March or into April.
Mark Shirley with the LSU Ag Center predicting the catch will increase a bit this spring, but only a small percentage of what we normally see. It might not be enough to make the production costs worthwhile for farmers and fishermen who spent thousands pumping extra water into their ponds.
A lot of that water was evaporating almost as fast as they were putting it in. So farmers were running those pumps when they had water. They will run those pumps maybe 3 times as much or 4 times as much as they'd usually have to pump.
And if the farmers can't make money, neither can the boilers, docks, distributors, and everyone else in the market chain, which means the burden will ultimately be passed on to consumers.
This year, we're not going to see the catch go up all that much, so we'll probably have higher prices on through the rest of the spring on into April and May. So that's just how it is.
Farmers will have to spend a pretty penny to restock their ponds, and the shortage could spill into the 2025 season.
That's a look at our Consumer Watch stories this morning. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Tamron Hall, this morning at 10, right here on Fox 14.
You may have heard of the 80s games Tetris, a puzzle game where the user manipulates shapes to eliminate lines.
Well, the game is 34 years old and no one has ever beaten it until now. Jessica Rajkumar had the opportunity to meet the young man who accomplished this great feat.
Normally when you say something like my game crashed, normally it's not a good thing.
13-year-old Willis Gibson, or better known as Blue Scooty online, became a national sensation after he beat the original Nintendo version of Tetris while streaming. For Gibson, it was a normal day trying to get the highest score with his friends. But when the game crashed, he and his friends couldn't believe they had done it.
We knew exactly what we were going for and exactly what it looked like, and so when I got it, I knew exactly what it was.
Gibson and other competitive players hold the controller in a way that allows for more control and faster placement of the pieces on the game.
It splits the piece movement from 1 finger into 5, and so it allows it to be easier on your hand and all that.
Through Tetris, Gibson met friends all across the country, such as Tetris commentator Michael Buster, who has known Gibson for over a year. Buster says he is grateful for the Tetris community and all the opportunities the game brings for its players.
For it to be able to reach out to all people of all ages and, just have a positive impact in their lives. I think that being able to share that with so many people is a huge thing nowadays.
And is happy he gets to cheer his friend on.
And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy, seeing Scooty and all the other players compete today.
As for Gibson, he says he wants to continue doing what he loves no matter where it takes him.
It's just fun. I enjoy playing the game and I want to keep getting better.
Reporting in Waco, Jessica Rajkumar.
No one will understand the satisfaction you get from finally beating a game.
That is true. That is true. I remember, beating my first Super Mario games back in the day. That was thrilling. But then you're left with, what do I do
now?
What do I do now?
Start a new game.
Yeah, and we've got a new game from Mother Nature on how dangerous can we make the driving out there. Let's take a look at the fog tracker. Yesterday we had the ice to contend with, which was dangerous enough. Now we've got dense fog out there, and as you can see, visibilities are beginning to decrease again east of I-49, where we had a brief increase in winds, and that allowed things to clear out just a bit, but the wind is letting up. We have dense fog advisories across the entire area for Missouri and Kansas until noon, Oklahoma and Arkansas until 10 a.m. We're going to have another look at your forecast and the news you need to know right after this.
Earning many medals for his service. We are proud to salute William Roberts Sr., a 4-state hero.
Here's a check of today's top headlines and news you need to know before you head out the door. The U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to take up the appeal of a death row inmate in Oklahoma. Last May, the court halted Richard Gossip's execution while legal challenges played out. Gossip was convicted and sentenced to death for the 1997 murder of his boss, Barry Van Treese. In court papers, the state attorney general says the state supports vacating Gossip's conviction due to prosecutorial misconduct at his trial. gossip has long insisted he is innocent. Driving on icy roads with low visibility can be difficult for anyone, especially if you're driving a semi-truck, like truckers at Joplin 44 Petro. Some truck drivers we talked to said when they have roads this dangerous, they like to remind themselves you can replace the freight, but you cannot replace your life. Other drivers can also help truckers stay safe by avoiding their blind spots, allowing extra room for trucks on turns, and remembering they may need some extra space to stop. The Missouri Department of Labor and Industrial Relations dealt with some delays contacting residents about unemployment insurance benefits. Because of the icy roads yesterday morning, it was difficult for employees to get out to the office. In turn, that meant calls regarding benefits were delayed, causing the department to issue a statement asking for patience on what is usually the busiest day of the week for those calls.
And we've got ourselves a warmer day today. Cloudy skies, highs into the mid-40s once this fog burns off. We have a light southeasterly breeze out there. Rain will return as we head into the evening and overnight hours as well. And we'll eventually make it to the mid to upper 30s, but we're expecting to stay mild enough that we're not anticipating any wintry precipitation. Low 50s as we head into Friday. Rain chances will continue into Saturday. Fog returns tomorrow morning. Sunshine returns on Monday.
Amsterdam was alive with color last Saturday as tens of thousands of tulips went on display in an outside garden ready to be picked by eager visitors. The sea of bright and beautiful flowers was created by the Dutch tulip growers in the Museum to mark National Tulip Day.
Around 200,000 tulips were on display to the public, with visitors then able to come and pick their favorites to create a colorful bouquet for free.
The event marks the official start of the tulip season that runs until the end of April. The Netherlands is the largest tulip producer in the world.
It's a lot of tulips. Well, thank you all so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great morning and have an even better day for States.